Hi everyone, welcome back. We are here today just hanging out casually, talking about some books that made me genuinely laugh. Of course, everybody's sense of humor is different, but I try to give some examples here of books that made me laugh for different reasons and in different categories so that hopefully you all can find something that resonates with you and your sense of humor. So whether that's like silly situations, goofy characters, political commentary that kind of made me laugh because I was so uncomfortable, silly romance banter. I've got a little bit of everything here. So hopefully one of these sounds funny to you and you can kind of enjoy some levity in your reading next time you pick up a book. So first up here is the Mead Mishap series by Kimberly Lemming. And this is a somewhat satirical romantasy series with titles like That Time I Got Drunk and Saved a Demon. So you can kind of already see the sense of humor coming through here. This book series absolutely knows exactly what it's doing, right? Like Kimberly Lemming knows that she was not taking herself too seriously here when she wrote this series. 100%, that's obvious throughout the whole thing. So it makes the humor involved feel really genuine, almost like you're in on a secret a little bit. It's got goofy situations. There's modern slang being used in sort of like a fantasy, like Renaissance setting almost is what it feels like, with some mythical creatures. So that dichotomy, that combination is pretty funny in and of itself. And then we've got some pretty ridiculous characters making like what is clearly the wrong choice in the name of kind of moving the plot forward. So this, in my opinion, is a perfect series for if you want something that doesn't take itself too seriously, but it still has a plot, it still has some character growth, and there's still some world building in this fantasy series. So really, really good combination there. I think it's super engaging and really funny. Okay, book number 2. I hope I can say the title of this book without YouTube flagging me. Let's all cross our fingers. Book 2 is Murder Your Employer, The McMaster's Guide to Homicide by Rupert Holmes. So even just the premise of this one is pretty funny. It's set in a dark academia setting where people are attending this academy to learn the art of murder. And then in the back half of the book, it's sort of almost like a reverse mystery or thriller where you're actually following the killers rather than like the people investigating or the people being offed. So the like teachings from the academy are so funny. Like they're worded so seriously, but also in sort of like a satirical way. The characters act in ways that totally made me roll my eyes multiple times. And then the audiobook is narrated by such a perfectly like posh accent, and it's really just like the cherry on top for this ridiculous concept. I just really love this book. It made me laugh the whole way through. I thought it was funny and really creative, and it's just a totally different take than any other book I've read. Book number 3 is Good Spirits by B.K. Borison. So this one is a holiday romance, but bear with me, hear me out, okay? Because I think it's genuinely worth reading any time of the year for the like cutesy dialogue and banter that had me giggling the whole way through the book. Our main characters are Nolan, who is the literal ghost of Christmas past. So there's some strong magical realism happening in this book. He has been assigned to haunt Harriet, who is like Christmas spirit and festive vibes encapsulated within a person. And I have found that B.K. Borison in general in her books, but especially in this one, really has a knack for writing silly banter and dialogue that actually made me laugh and giggle. I'm not saying it's the most realistic dialogue I've ever read in a romance book, but oftentimes when I'm reading a romance, I want something a little cheesy and silly and over the top, and this book definitely delivers on that. There were multiple times where I was giggling and like laughing at the lightly teasing kind of banter, and I just really couldn't wipe the smile off my face on this one. Okay, number 4 here is pick a book from Rachel Gillig, and I think that it might make you laugh if you're someone who is interested in a combination of like very creative, dark fantasy worlds lightened up by some hilarious characters. So specifically in her books, at least all the books I've read by her, which I actually think is everything she's published up to this point. I might be missing something, but I'm pretty sure I've read everything she's published so far. There's always this like semi-human or non-human character that's present in the books, and it seems like a huge part of the reason that character is present, in addition to some plot points, is really for some comedic relief in an otherwise a really like brooding and dark and intense setting and environment and plot that Rachel Gillig is so phenomenal at creating. These characters are often like really witty. They speak out of turn all the time. They comment when it's really not their place. And they're just such a perfect foil for that tense backdrop that she paints throughout her novels, and a really good foil to her very intense main characters as well. So I would highly recommend her books if you like a touch of whimsy and silliness and kind of poking fun at the other characters from another character within the book in an otherwise dark setting. Number 5 on this list is That's a Great Question, I'd Love to Tell You by Elise Myers. I'm actually only about 75% of the way done with this book, but I have been laughing so unbelievably hard throughout the whole thing. Let me just preface this one too by saying that Elise Myers is one of my favorite online content creators, and I think her content is hilarious as it is. Like, her sense of humor is 100% my sense of humor, and I find her to be funny anyways, but it was so rewarding and so exciting to see that that sense of humor and her tone and just kind of like her personality really are coming through in this memoir that she wrote. Despite the fact that she covers some heavier topics, some very clearly challenging memories throughout this book, throughout her memoir, I still have been laughing so hard at the circumstances, at her own reactions, at the experiences, at the way she phrases things. She's just such an expert in knowing how to laugh at herself and the world in a way that is simultaneously funny and self-aware, but also kind and gentle, I think, to herself and those around her. So she does such a good job at that, of finding the humor in things without making fun of someone, including herself. So I am so happy that I've loved my experience so far reading this book, and I imagine I'm gonna have many more laughing fits before the end. And then last but not least here, number 6 on the list is Squirrel Seeks Chipmunk by David Sedaris. Perhaps this shouldn't be a surprise for a short story collection written by someone who's also a stand-up comedian, right? But this book made me laugh in a different way than you might expect. I was laughing in like disbelief and discomfort repeatedly throughout these short stories. So each one of these short stories is sort of like a critique of humanity, and in particular of first world problems, essentially, but through the lens of if the people were animals instead. They're in ridiculous situations and experiencing things that are honestly pretty common complaints that we hear today from people, but having it kind of contextualized in this short story collection as if the animals were experiencing those problems made this hit just a bit too close to home, and it made me kind of laugh and reassess myself in a different way. And it's kind of like that uncomfortable laugh. So this one's a bit different than the rest on the list because it's funny in kind of like a cringe way, not funny in like a haha, I'm laughing with you kind of way. So a little bit different, but still nonetheless absolutely made me laugh multiple times. I trimmed a few books from this list, so if you want like version 2 of this, I would be happy to put that together. But there are the top 6 books that I think made me laugh the most, or made me laugh in the widest range of ways, caused by the greatest number of reasons, I guess. So hopefully one of these sounded interesting to you, resonated with your sense of humor. And I am so, so grateful for you for being here today. Thank you for being here, and I will see you next time.